I'm Anil Kumar sharing with you test questions on how to solve quadratic equations. So we have 4 questions here. We'll see how to solve them one by one. Question number 1. Solve the following equation by method indicated. 0 equals to 0.5 times x plus 25 whole square minus 162. The method to be used here is by isolation and reverse bed mass. Question number 2. Solve the following equation by the method indicated. 5x squared minus 17x minus 3 equals to 9 by factoring and zero product property. Right? So that's another method to solve. Question 3 is an application question. The hypotenuse of a right triangle measures 29 centimeters. One leg is 1 centimeter shorter than the other. What are the lengths of the legs? Question number 4. Solve for y in terms of x. 5y squared minus 6yx minus 8x squared equals to 0. So these are very interesting questions on this topic. I'd like you to pause the video, solve them, and then look into my suggestions. So let's begin with the very first one, which is solve the equation by isolation and reverse bed mass, right? So that's the method being adopted. So let's try to understand this method. We have 0 equals to 0.5 x plus 25 whole square minus 162. We need to isolate x. That's the first part. So bring 162 to this side. So we get 162 equals to 0.5 is half. See, I'm writing it in fractions. Normally, you avoid fractions. But I'm purposely doing it so that you understand fractions is friendly. To isolate, I have to multiply by 2, right? So I'll do 162 times 2. So it's good to write 2 in brackets, not use this because you get confused with x itself. So we are left with x plus 25 whole square. So this is kind of product. Is that okay? So when you multiply, you get 4. Let's put brackets here. 6 times 2 is 12, 2, 1. So we get 324 is equal to x plus 25 whole square. Now we need to square root to isolate x. So we get square root of 324, which is equal to x plus 25. Now at this stage, it is very, very critical and important to understand that whenever you square root, what should you do? You should do plus and minus both. Perfect, because the negative square will become positive also. So this is critical. Many times students miss on this. Okay, that's why I've written it in red. Now we can actually take 25 to the other side, and what we get here is minus 25 plus minus square root of 324 is equal to x. So we have isolated x, correct? So what is square root of 324? It should be less than 20, since 20 square is 400. So 64 is 8 square, so it is 18. Let's check it out. Square root of 324 is equal to 18. So we could write this as x is equal to negative 25 plus minus 18. So it gives you two answers. One is x is equal to minus 25 minus 18, and the other one is x equals to minus 25 plus 18. Correct? So you can always use the calculator, or it could easily be done without calculator also, right? So I'm just adding them and put negative sign here. So we get negative 43 for the first one, and we get 18 minus 25, which is minus 7 for the second one. Correct? So that is how you solve. So our answer here is that x equals to minus 7 or minus 43. Correct? So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. We isolated x by taking away the constant term to the left side, multiplying by 2. You could divide by 0.5, one and the same thing. But when you square root, you should take both positive and negative. If you don't do that, you will miss one of the answers. Correct? So that is very important to understand. And we get two answers, -7 and -43. You can actually substitute these values and also check your solution. Now let us see how to solve equation using factoring and zero product property. The question for us is to solve the equation 5x squared minus 17x minus 3 equals to 9. So let's rewrite. We have 5x squared minus 17x minus 3 equals to 9. Bring 9 to the left side, we get 5x squared minus 17x minus 3 minus 9 equals to 0. Combine the constants, 5x squared minus 17x minus 12 equals to 0. Now, we are looking for factoring a trinomial, so we'll do with product and sum. So we're looking for two numbers p and q, whose product is 5 times 12 with a negative sign, which is negative 60. And whose sum should be minus 17. So what could be these two numbers? Well, the positive number should be greater than negative. One is positive, one is negative. And 20 times 3 works for us, 20 being negative, right? So we'll split this 17 into these two numbers and then rewrite our equation. So we get here 5x squared minus 20x plus 3x. So that is 17 minus 12 equals to 0. You can factor 5x from the first two terms. So we get 5x brackets. You are left with x here minus 4. And here you could factor 3. You get again x minus 4 in the bracket. Now if you don't get that, that means you've done a mistake. This is very critical. Now x minus 4 is a common factor. So when you take x minus 4, you're left with 5x plus 3 equals to 0. So we have done the first part, which is factoring. So at this stage, we are writing sum and difference as product, right? So this is called factoring. So this is the product form. So we have done the factoring, correct? First part. Now we need to solve this equation by zero product property. What is that? Let's rewrite the factored form, which is x minus 4 times 5x plus 3 equals to 0. Now when can this be 0? Either both are 0 or one of them is 0. So we have two options here. One is we have option of x minus 4 equals to 0. The other one is 5x plus 3 equals to 0. Now we are looking for all the solutions. Since it is just solve, right? We are looking for all the solutions. So we'll find what all are possible values. So we calculate both. This gives you x equals to 4, and that gives you 5x equals to minus 3, or x is equals to minus 3 over 5. Do you see that? And so we get our solution. So our solution here is x equals to 4 or minus 3 by 5. Perfect. So that is how you can solve by this method of factoring and zero product property. Let's move on and take question number 3 now. Now here is an application question. Question number 3. The hypotenuse of a right triangle measures 29 centimeter. One leg is 1 centimeter shorter than the other. What are the lengths of the legs? So let's construct a right angle triangle. So let us assume that this is the one whose one leg is 1 centimeter shorter. That is to say, in this right triangle, if I take one of the sides as x, the other one, I should take this one as x, then the other one will be x minus 1. We are given that the hypotenuse is 29 centimeters. We need to find what x could be. Now we can use the Pythagorean theorem, which says that x squared plus x minus 1 whole square should be equal to 29 square. So let's expand this. We get x square plus, when you expand this part, you get x square minus 2x plus 1 equals to 29 square. Some of you can find 30 minus 1 also, calculate it out. But let's use what this calculator says. 29 square is equal to 841. 841. We'll bring it to the left side and solve for x. So x square plus x square is 2x square. Now we have minus 2x plus 1 minus 841 equals to 0. So we have 2x square minus 2x minus 840 equals to 0. We can factor 2 out. So we get x squared minus x minus 420 equals to 0. Now we are looking for two numbers whose product is 420. So we are doing factoring. So we're looking for two numbers, p and q, whose product is 420 with a negative sign and whose sum is what? Minus 1. So the two numbers could be 21 and 20, correct? 421. Divide by 2 is 21. So you get these two numbers. So you can factor this and write it as x, bigger number is negative, x minus 21 times x plus 20 equals to 0. Now from this equation, in the factored form, we could equate each factor to 0 to get our solution. So from here, we get two solutions. One is x equals to 21. The other one is x equals to minus 20. Now, minus 20 is not valid, right? Sides cannot be negative, so this is not valid. This one is correct. So we'll use x as 21. Now, the two sides should be what? X equals to 21, so x minus 1 will be 21 minus 1, which is 20, and therefore we have our answer that the sides are, or the legs are, 20 centimeter and 21 centimeter, right? So I hope these steps are absolutely clear. Now let's move on and take up the last question of the series. Question number 4. Solve for y in terms of x. The equation is 5y square minus 6yx minus 8x square. Let's rewrite. 5y square minus 6yx minus 8x square equals to 0. Now many times I've seen students getting confused when they get such kind of equations. Now let's see how to solve it. Now we are saying solve for y in terms of x, right? So let's treat this equation in y. So now we are looking for product of two numbers as what? We are looking for product of two numbers as 5 times minus 8x square, right? So the product will be product of these two numbers. We'll treat x kind of a constant, right? So 8 times 5 is 40. So we're looking for negative 40 x square. Do you get the idea, right? And what should be the sum of these two numbers? Sum of these two numbers should be equal to 6x with a negative sign, correct? We are treating equation in y now. So we are looking for minus 6x. How do we get this combination? Correct? 4 times 10 is 40, both a bigger number being negative. So if I take minus 10x and 4x, we satisfy, correct? Multiplying these two, minus 40x square, taking away minus 6x. Does it make sense to you? Correct? This is very critical to understand. Now, let's write down 6yx in terms of minus 10x and 4x. So we rewrite this equation as 5y square minus 10yx plus 4yx minus 8x square equals to 0. Now from first two terms, we can factor 5y And from the next two terms, we can factor 4x. So we get here 5y. We're left with y minus 2x. And in this case, we can factor 4 and x. So we are again left with y minus 2x. And that is equal to 0. Y minus 2x is a common factor now. And what we are left with is 5y plus 4x equals to 0. Now to get the solution, y minus 2x should be equal to 0 and 5y plus 4x should also be equal to 0. So solving, we get y equals to 2x in the first case, and here we get y equals to minus 4 over 5x. Correct? So that is how you can actually solve such questions. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. So we have taken 4 different types of questions and seen how to solve quadratic equations. I hope that helps. Feel free to write your comments and share your views. If you really like and subscribe to my videos, that will be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.